Okay, hey guys, I have totally forgot to do a reading vlog this week, and I just kind of dropped the ball. Having not done them before, I keep forgetting that I should probably be doing this if I want to maintain the TBR 10 that I promised. So after my last video, I did say that I was going to start Moth and Spark. However, the year of the witching was calling my name. I think I mentioned that as well. I read it. It was absolutely fantastic. I have never read a book that was 100% my taste, and that book totally was, and I was absolutely thrilled. The Space Between Worlds, I am now a little over 200 pages, getting very close to the end, so I should finish that tonight. I also got my notification that Legendborn is available from my library, which I do have a physical copy of it here, but I got the audio, so I should get through that fairly quickly. And I have also, Audible had the download for free of Talon by Julie Kagawa, and I really hope I can start these two. It's a really ambitious lineup, but hopefully I can get through it before my weekly update. And yeah, so Space Between Worlds is going good this time, so let's see if I can finish it. Bye. Today, I'm going to be doing my TBR 10 weekly roundup, and of my TBR 10, the books I've read are 0! A big fat nada. Last week we talked about the fact that I am not going to start The Way of Kings because I'm going to actually start the Stormlight Archive in my Sanderson read-along next year, and I don't want a year in between when I read Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. So we nixed that one. We nixed the Casual Vacancy, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and read a book that I had been wanting to read for a while, and I finished The Space Between Worlds. So I didn't actually read anything off of my TBR 10. I did, however, get Legendborn, the audiobook from my library, so I will be starting that. I did start Moth and Spark. Didn't get very far though before the Year of the Witching decided to rear its head, and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to try and go in order of what I rated them, try and remember what I rated them, but my reading week was absolutely fantastic. Now, I had a NetGalley arc of A.D. Enderley's Complex, and I have to tell you guys, this book is fantastic. So be on the lookout for it. It published November 17th, so it is out now. Complex by A.D. Enderley is sci-fi, and it is what I would classify as grim, dark sci-fi. Fantastic. There were a few issues that I had with it, such as content warnings. Self-pleasure is part of that. There's very sexist remarks made. There's a lot going on in this novel. Complex is complex, and I enjoyed almost every aspect of this novel, and I think that this is going to be a great series. There's a whole lot of political intrigue. There's a whole lot of stories intermingling to make one full story. And usually I'm not a huge fan of that, but this one was actually quite fantastic. The next one that I read was a short story by Veronica Roth, which when I started reading these stories, I didn't realize that Blake Crouch had actually put all of these stories together in a compilation. I just saw that it was the Audible Amazon Forward series, and I got them for like $1.39 per story. They have been really good so far. I talked about the Andy Weir one. So Arc by Veronica Roth. It was such a beautiful, heartbreaking story about the end of the world, which most of these are. They center around the last days of humanity. The Earth is about to be destroyed. Some scientists are left behind to collect as much data as they can. And this one is about a girl named Samantha who decides very early on that she's not going to leave the planet. And it's her story of discovery of self. And it is really, really beautiful, really touching, really heartwarming. And I really, really enjoyed this one. The Andy Weir one, I was like, okay, it was good. But this one was beautiful. And I highly recommend picking up this. I've only read the 2, but the ones that I have left are from N.K. Jemisin, Paul Tremblay, Blake Crouch, Immortals. So a pretty good lineup of stories. And I just really recommend them. Okay, The Space Between Worlds. I know you guys have been waiting for me to finish this. It was fantastic. Absolutely 100% fantastic. I don't know what took me so long to finish this, other than I just couldn't sit down and read. And when I sat down to read, I was trying to read other things. And so other things kept getting in the way. And I was like, no, I've just got to sit down and finish this. And mind-blowingly good. So I talked a little bit about it whenever I was talking about my TBR. And this story is, again, another really complex story about a girl named Kara who, the story has so many twists and turns that I'm trying to tell you all of these things without giving spoilers, and that's so hard. A girl named Kara and a girl named Dell work together. She is a traverser. What she does is she ventures to other worlds like Earth and collects information. And on these planets, if your doppelganger exists, then you can't travel to that world or you'll die. And so she is utilized because of these 300 plus worlds. She is dead on all but 7 of these worlds. So she is used the most of all of the traversers. It comes down to that she's pretty much one of the only ones left. And she works for this institute that she doesn't know much about, other than they gave her an opportunity to work there. And things start to devolve when she finally goes to a planet where her doppelganger is thought dead, but is actually still alive. And it is a really, really great story about finding oneself. It's a really, really great story about relationships. It's a really good sci-fi story too. Really good bisexual representation. There's so much going on in this story that it takes a moment for you to wrap your mind around some of the concepts in it, but it's so easy to read. And the world building is fantastic. Like within the first 20 pages, you know what's going on, and there's no info dumping. The way it is written is just beautiful. So this is one of the best books I have read this year, and I highly recommend it. Any sci-fi fan, but any avid reader, I would recommend this book too. It's fantastic. It's short, but there's a lot going on. Now, The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. Oh my gosh. So I'm a really big like supernatural horror fan. And when I say supernatural, I am a supernatural fan like of the show, but like in general. However, I have not read a book in such a long time that was 100% my taste. Like if I was to write a book, this would be the book I would write, because this is 100% my taste. Everything I love about horror, everything I love about gothic horror, just, amazing, fantastic. So it is a like Puritan-esque type story where these people live in a very confined world. And in this world, there's a girl named Emmanuel, and the opening to this book was what stuck with me. And it was so dark and so just gripping. And I love everything about this. So Emmanuel, she's growing up, but she is from the dark wood. And a lot of people know this about her. Most people know this about her. And so they kind of shun her. And being from the dark wood means you're a descendant from witches. And she definitely is. And so she is drawn to the dark wood, and she knows she shouldn't be. Like, it is harped on. People talk about this all the time, that the dark wood is a place that you don't go to, you don't talk about, you just ignore the fact that it is actually there. And she ventures off into the dark wood and finds out some things about herself. She's given her mother's journal from these witches, and they're called the Lovers, which I actually really liked that. And she sees them making love, but it is so good. And there's a ship in this story between her and the prophet's son. It's very well written. I enjoyed it so much. So the relationship that's built here is great. The atmosphere is great. The story is great. The supernatural elements are great. When she comes into power is so great. And again, this is 100% my taste. So if you don't like it, that's fine. But I would recommend this to anybody who likes witches, the supernatural, the puritanical setting, the forest atmosphere, the fight between a perceived good and a perceived evil. It blew my mind. And I would absolutely recommend this book if you could handle the darker elements of the book. It is horror, so be aware of that. But guys, I can't recommend this book enough. But those are the books I read, and I'm sorry I didn't get to any of my TBR 10. Like I said, I do have the Moth and Spark on deck. I do have Legendborn on deck, so I will be getting to those this week. And I'm sorry that I didn't get any vlogs done. Oh, it was such a difficult week for me to actually focus. I have ADHD, you guys know this. But all right, thanks for watching.